Brought one.
Okay.
When you find a professional
what's up,
on
fella?
Angie to
What's going on,
your
guys?
Right, big dog.
remodel.
Yep.
I love it.
What's up, man? This is Brandon.
How you doing, Brandon?
Good, buddy.
Connect with skilled professionals to get
How you
all
feeling,
your
man? I
home
watched a little bit of the
projects
stream
done well.
yesterday.
Yeah,
Inside
pretty
out.
good. It's about what we
Repair,
predicted, about what
Yep.
we said. I think we're
Started
spot
on
on.
the Angie app
Yep.
or visit Angie.com today. You can do this.
Your boy's already
If you're
tweeting
hiring,
this
it can
morning,
feel
too.
like you're
He's
trying
in.
to find a needle in a haystack. You can
Say that
hope
again?
a person
I said
comes
Dave's
along,
already
or
tweeting
you
this
can just
morning
use
as a
ZipRecruiter,
Panther.
Oh, yeah.
and now you can try it for
Yeah,
free.
he's pretty active on Twitter.
I like
We'll
that.
see. We'll see how long that lasts because he can
Yeah.
get fried up real quick if things go south. So
of operations at Telly Tires and Auto Centers. Because Telly Tires has grown a lot in
I
the
mean,
last few
so
years,
far,
Marco needed to hire everyone from a receptionist
most of the
to a store
tweets
manager to a head
back
mechanic.
at him seem to be
ZipRecruiter
pretty
helps
positive.
me find all the right
Yeah.
people, even the most difficult jobs to fill. ZipRecruiter helps me keep my business running.
Take it from Marco and millions of other businesses who've used ZipRecruiter. ZipRecruiter can help you find the needle in the haystack.
See why 4 out of 5 employers who post a job on ZipRecruiter get a quality candidate within the first day. And right now, you can try ZipRecruiter for free. That's right, free at ZipRecruiter.com/radio. That's ZipRecruiter.com.
Majority of the girl dad group said, "Who's that guy who's talking? He's really loud."
Radio. ZipRecruiter, the smartest way to hire.
Nachos!
Hey, I'll take some.
And some Frank's Red Hot.
Hey, before we get going, because we're going to focus on the coach.
Nachos with no flavor.
Seen a lot of people talking about trying to move Icky over to left guard. You in on that?
This guy finally gets it.
It's the perfect blend of
I'm on the fence. When we drafted him, I was of the thought that he is a solid left tackle, but he could be a guard as well because of the blocking ability. So I don't know. I don't know. To be honest with you.
your ride or die alive at ebaymotors.com. Eligible items only. Exclusions apply.
The
What's up, man?
NFL playoffs live
How you been?
on Odyssey. Westwood
I cannot complain, man. Really can't. Wouldn't do any good anyways. Hey, nobody want to hear it.
Streaming live on the free Odyssey app. First, it's Kansas City and Baltimore.
Spinning touchdown catch, hit the goal line. Kelsey, he could not have been more wide open.
Then it's San Francisco and Detroit.
Hands up McCaffrey on the right side. In the end zone. Touchdown 49ers.
Listen to every game live from Westwood One. Get in the game and download the free Odyssey app today. AUDACY.
Today, cloudy and warm with a couple of showers and a thunderstorm, high of 69.
Weather brought to you by Daily Harvest. Daily Harvest makes it easy to stick to your goals with food delivered right to your door. Visit daily-harvest.com and use code HARVEST for up to $65 off your first box.
Sponsored by Netcoins.
Invest in over 30 cryptocurrencies on Netcoins, America's low-fee crypto
All right,
trading
10 seconds.
platform. Take advantage of zero funding fees, fast trading, plus a $25 credit with code NFL 2024. Netcoins.
Knock that apart, man. You got this.
Download the app today at netcoins.com.
Get in the game on the Rob Brown Show.
Only on the Fan.
The Fan
Upstate.
8:24 a.m. and ordinarily on a Thursday is when we talk some Carolina Panthers football, but it is noticeably Friday morning. Yet, Rashad Beard of the Panther Nation podcast joins the show. Why? Because yesterday we had Rashad on at this time. The Carolina Panthers did not have a head coach. I said, hey, if we get one, will you come on? Rashad said, yep, gracious with his time. Here he is again for the first time after Dave Canales hired as the new head coach of the Panthers. Rashad, what's up, fella?
What's going on? Right back at it, man. Let's get it.
How you feeling, buddy? How you like it?
I'm feeling pretty good. I feel pretty good about the hire. I think we were spot on with our analysis yesterday. Kind of called this. Dave Canales. It kind of guts the Tampa Bay Bucks. They now have to install a new offense. So I think that's kind of a twofold W for the Carolina Panthers. You got a young talent, young offensive mind that's going to be around to put Bryce Young in a position to succeed. And hopefully over the next couple of years, we can start to get the best out of Bryce. So I was of the thought. I wanted an offensive mind guy. And I think Canales is just that. I think he's gotten hired here a little bit probably before he should have. And we've said that multiple times. We're going to get a guy that's going to be hired probably before his time, but that's okay. Guys like Mike, I keep seeing everybody, nobody else interviewed him. Nobody else wanted him. So why did we want him? Well, nobody wanted Mike McDaniel either before he got there. The Dolphins were the only team that interviewed him, and now they're looking pretty solid in the playoff. Well, they got kicked out, but they were a pretty solid team. You know what I mean? So, again, I think we got a guy, and hopefully, things will get better here in Carolina.
All right, so one of the things that we talked a little bit about, and I want to get the intangibles out of the way. And we both mentioned the word culture a number of times. I have thought, even as somebody watching from the other side of the NFC South, Carolina and the fan base, when they were in the better times, in the before times, had a fantastic culture. I mean, the Bank's a great stadium. The fans are phenomenal. I've always thought this team has a great culture. In fact, I don't know if there's a team in the NFL that has done a better job of keeping the legends, the Hall of Famers, the great players involved and active in the franchise. I've covered their training camp in Spartanburg the last 3 years, and every year I turn around and there's another Panther all-time great who's come down to just kind of meet and interact with the fans. To me, that kind of went away. And you could blame it on Rule or Reich or Tepper or whoever, but it did. Canales is already on Twitter. He's already sending out tweets. He's already interacting with fans. He already seems to kind of be of this new school age coach that wants to kind of promote the culture as well as the football team. So from the perspective of having wanted somebody to come in and kind of reignite that amongst the Panthers, I got to think, even though he is, like you said, probably early in the development of a head coach, the fact that this guy's hitting the ground running, getting out there, putting his name, his face, his voice out there, I mean, we're all looking at this at the most optimistic possible way, but I kind of like that, dude.
Yeah, I mean, it's good to see him actually have like hashtag keep pounding in his bio now. I mean, that's good. I mean, we all know for sure that the keep pounding mantra goes nowhere. They tried to take that away from us. The chant in the stadium they tried to take away. Fans revolted, and we want it back. So keep pounding is something that we need around, and that's our culture. We keep talking about culture, and that's it. I mean, we have a culture. We just need to keep it going. And you're right. You know, the legends are coming back, and they come around, and we've got a really good thing here. And credit to David Tepper for doing it. I think he's built that. And you know, I'd be the first to criticize him when he needs to be criticized, but he has, you know, he's done pretty well with keeping the legends around, keeping them engaged, and we just need to start seeing some W's. At the end of the day, you know, all this Twitter and being on Twitter and interacting with the fans sounds great, but we need W's here in Carolina, and I hope. And the great thing about it is that he understands the NFC South. That's the beauty of having a guy like Canales. He has the game plan for the New Orleans Saints 2 times a year. He knows the Bucs offense and defense practice against them every day. So he knows that system. He knows those folks. And, you know, now he's got the Panthers, and he knows he's game plan against us. So he knows what we have. He knows the weaknesses, and I'm sure he knows how to improve upon those. So, again, I like it. On paper, it looks good. But, again, it all boils down to wins and losses. We have to get some we need to see some improvement for the Panthers fan base to get to support him. It doesn't have to be a playoff appearance in year one. That's not what we're asking for. But a good 8-win season would be great because we haven't seen that around here in a long time.
Bro,
and
8 wins might win you the division, dog.
Yeah,
it might. It might.
South.
It's true. It might. And the bar is low, man. We just need. I hope he understands because it's good to see him on Twitter right now. But that Twitter, our Panthers Twitter, has to be one of the most toxic places in the history of Panther Nation, right? It can go south really quick. So we can see him disappear from Twitter pretty quickly if things go south.
Hey, Rashad, I got a question for you. All right. So, you know, there's been a lot of names that have always been mentioned, long-time names mentioned that goes to Carolina. One of them was Greg Olsen. He was mentioned as potentially even being a coach for Carolina at one time. Now, I don't know if you ever heard him on his analyst. He's really good, and he's very smart. He knows what he's talking about. Could you see maybe someone like him joining Carolina staff and even helping elevate Bryce Young to the next level because of how smart and how well developed Olsen really is in the game?
Yeah, I think Olsen is a great he's a fantastic mind. He's one of the smartest people in the game. You listen to his commentary. He is fantastic. He coaches his sons of, I guess, flag football or Pop Warner team or whatever. Him and Luke, they're out there coaching. It would be great to see him added to the staff. I think in some capacity, whether it's a tight ends coach or somewhere in that offensive mind, where offensive building, where he's a, I don't know, QB coach or something like that. He's been around the game. He is really good. And it's crazy to me, man. He's never been the most athletic guy in the world. But somehow, when you turn on the film, this man was always wide open. That's because he uses brain. He's a very smart player, and it would be great to see him. I mean, you've seen all our players come and say, "Hey, I want to get in the building." You know, heard Cam Newton say that. You've heard I want to be the team president. I think it would be good to Greg. I think he would be fantastic addition to the offensive coaching staff. We'll see. I don't know, but I like it. It sounds good.
All right, let's talk about what Dave Canales has done. Because I was having this thought this morning. Part of the reason that a lot of folks think he got the job is he was in Seattle. Russ Wilson revamped his career. He ends up getting that trade to Denver. Denver wanted him because of that revamp. Geno Smith comes up. Geno Smith in his first year as a starter under Dave Canales looked like he could have been the NFL's Comeback Player of the Year award. He goes down to Tampa Bay. He gets a year with Baker Mayfield. Baker just had the most successful year of his career, 4,000 plus yards passing, 28 touchdowns, 10 interceptions, all the best numbers of Baker's career. 3 quarterbacks in a row that fans were very close to giving up on. Kind of had a career renaissance under Dave Canales. The difference between him and BY is all 3 of those guys vets, all 3 of those guys numbers of years of experience in the league. BY has, in my opinion, not even had a rookie season. I'm not counting this as his rookie year. There was too much toxicity and change and turnover to count that. Do you think Canales can work that same magic with a guy who is going into, in my opinion, his first year on a true NFL team?
Yeah, there's another difference between what those guys have and what BY has, and that's called weapons. And so that sounds great, the turnarounds. But you got DK Metcalf, you got Lockett, you got Mike Evans, and you got Chris Godwin. Oh, and those are elite caliber weapons that Bryce Young does not have. So Canales he does have a background as a wide receivers coach. So it's gonna be interesting to see him use that background to get us and identify some really good wide receiver talent, because that is the difference. That is the key difference. And I think BY has it. We've gone back and forth at length the entire season defending Bryce Young. I think he has it in him. And I think Canales is the perfect coach, and which is why I think he got the job. And what you just said, the ability to turn around those guys, the ability to turn around Geno Smith, the ability to turn around, Baker Mayfield. I think that's why he got the job. You know what I mean? But also, you got to add those weapons. So maybe he can pick up the phone. Hey, good old buddy, old pal. Hey, Mike Evans. Hey, you remember me? Maybe we can get him back in the building. I'm not saying it's going to happen, but maybe there is that could happen. And maybe we can draft another guy to add to bolster up that wide receiver core along with Adam Thielen.
Hey, Rashad. Now, according to Over the Cap, the Panthers they said they're supposed to have over $57 million in cap space. What big names do you think they should go after besides, obviously, getting Mike Evans, the GOAT, for wide receivers? Who would you like to see them go after with that amount of cap space?
Yeah, I think we need to focus on the offensive line. I think you need to bring in another offensive line vet, whether it's a guard, swing tackle, swing guard, somebody. We have to bolster the offensive line. I know Canales. He got Tristan Wirfs over there. He has some really good offensive linemen with the Bucs, and we got to fix it. So offensive linemen and wide receivers. You got guys like T. Higgins out there, a couple other wide receivers. If we don't, happen to get Mike Evans, Calvin Ridley's another one. There's a couple of guys out there that we need to focus on getting and bolstering up the wide receiver. It's all about supporting Bryce. It's all about supporting Bryce and getting talent around and protecting him. So key top targets, and I don't know the list of available free agents off the top of my head for offensive linemen, but it's got to be offensive tackle or guard. You got to protect the interior, because a guy of Bryce Young's stature, he can't have the pressure in his face. You know what I mean? So we need to bolster up the interior offensive line and get some wide receiver talent in the building.
All right, so you got Dave Canales as the HC. There is other good news with Atlanta hiring Raheem Morris. There's 2 teams left looking for a head coach, Washington and Seattle. We know Vrabel has interviewed with Seattle. Washington, kind of like Atlanta, just pretty much handing out interviews like candy right now. The good news is, to me, there's a better than average chance that Ejiro Evero does not get offered in a head coaching job some year. I think he's very comfortable. I'd like to think in Carolina, he coached a good defense that had 0 offensive support, a lot of time spent on the grass, which is why I think those numbers were probably lower for the defense than they could have, should have, would have been if they weren't asked to play 40 out of every 60 minutes. If Ejiro Evero stays on, this defense last year gave up 22 points a game. This offense just needs to score 23 a game, which would require them, Rashad, to be the 16th best offense in the league to get to that number. Not 10, not 5. Mm-hmm. If they can be average in the NFL and that defense keeps the performance from last year, that's a winning record formula right there. To me, If Canales is not on the phone with Ejiro Evero, not today, yesterday, the minute Inc. went to contract going, my dude, I want you here, I want you to stay, that'd be a mistake. Is there a shot we see Double E in Charlotte next year again?
I certainly hope so. And we talked about this yesterday. That is the dream scenario, keeping Ejiro Evero around. It builds some continuity. I think that's what needs to happen here in Carolina. You got to have some continuity. And yeah, I agree. I mean, you think about the two. Week 18, Tampa versus Carolina, Ejiro Evero held Canales and his offense to 9 points. So I'm sure there's a bit of gamesmanship there. Say, hey, real recognize real here. And I said you were pretty good. Your squad was pretty good. And I want to keep you around. So I'm hoping those conversations are being had. Like you said, Seattle and the Commanders are the final 2 jobs available. And I predict that Ben Johnson is going to the Commanders, and you've got 1 job available with Seattle. And I don't know what Seattle's going to do, but this goes to why you hire an offensive-minded coach. You're able to keep your defensive guys. I've said that a million times. You need continuity. And I think that is the dream combination, Ejiro Evero and Dave Canales.
That's one of the knocks at Dave Tepper, right? I was talking to a buddy of mine, an old mentor in radio who's a Dallas fan, and we were busting them up for keeping McCarthy. And his whole thing was like, yeah, I know, but you look at the coaching staff, the players, like it's continuity and you grow out of continuity. Whereas Dave Tepper and the Panthers, you're on your 7th head coach under David Tepper, who has not owned the team as long as Jerry Jones has, who is on the same number of head coaches at this point, actually less, I think. It is continuity. Dave Canales comes in, takes over this offense. I don't think you have a choice on offense, though, but to just kick this thing down to the foundation and start the thing over. So knowing what we know about Canales, having seen what we've seen out of him as a quarterback coach in Seattle, 1 year as an offensive coordinator in Tampa, what does this offense look like next year in your opinion?
Man, I don't know. It's tough. It's a tough ask until I see what we do in free agency and what we're going to do with these wide receivers, because we need talent, man. We need talent. The one thing about Canales' offense is he's going to put our guys in the best position to succeed, especially the offensive linemen, right? There's an article out there talking about him, taking the stress and the pressure off the offensive line by getting rid of the ball quick. And I think that's what's needed here in Carolina. Bryce needs to make those quick decisions, and we need to get a good run game going here. So I don't know. It's wait and see for me. And like you said earlier, we don't need it to be we don't need to be a top 10 offense. We don't need that. Just get us top 16, man. And we can see what can happen. So I hope we just see improvement on what we saw and continuous development with Bryce Young, get him comfortable. And this is hope for the best, man. I gotta watch some more film on Canales' offense. I haven't had a chance to dive in, so I don't want to do too many predictions on what the offense is going to look like just yet.
We have been talking the last few days about Cam Newton's comments that got everybody up in a frenzy a few weeks ago, game manager versus game changer. And, he said, look, Lamar and Patrick Mahomes are the game changers. I had Josh Allen to that group, but there's maybe 3, tops 4 in the league. Then you got a whole category of game managers. What can Dave Canales do aside from get him new weapons? Because I agree with you. I think that's the number one objective right now. But offensively, what can Dave Canales do to try to bring BY from the bottom of that game manager list to the top of that game manager list, and fingers crossed in the future, move him up into that game changer list, which is why you draft the guy number 1 overall?
Yeah, I think you got to support him with again, we talk about the wide receiver talent. You got to get that. Once you get that in place, I think it's about simplifying the offense. And you got to get a good run game. You got to support him with a solid run game. Rashad White had a decent year for him down in Tampa. And so I think that having a run game, you got guys like, Miles Sanders. We'll see what happens with him. He could have a resurgence. I don't know if that's going to happen. I have very low expectations for that. But keep building on Chuba Hubbard, right? Chuba Hubbard is having an excellent career so far, a career resurgence for him. So support him with the run game, quick decisions with the football, and get guys that can, and put your wide receivers in position to succeed as well. Give them easy routes, in breaking routes, quick slants, get rid of football quick, and win. You got to get guys that can win. So I'm hopeful that again, it all boils down to the talent, man. I think once we get the talent here, I think that's going to be a big step forward for Bryce Young's development, and not put everything on Bryce, right? Bryce had a lot of pressure last year. He felt the pressure. He was forced to make a lot of decisions. He made some horrible decisions with the football at the time because of the pressure. Let's take the pressure off of Bryce Young, make it easy for him, and that's what we want to see for Bryce Young, the Carolina Panthers.
Got one or two more for Rashad Beard of the Panther Nation podcast before I get the next question. Deontay said in the chat, nothing wrong with game managers. It's been turned into a bad term. I look at game managers as field generals and game changers as gunslingers, different levels for each one. No, I agree. Like I said that earlier, game managers win Super Bowls all the time. There's nothing wrong with it. Game managers allow your skill position talent to flourish, whereas game changers are supported by skill position talent. That's the whole Brock Purdy v. Lamar thing. Lamar's taking a bunch of pretty good guys and carrying them with him. Brock Purdy is having a bunch of really good players carry him. Again, I think BY right now has to be labeled in the former category, not the latter. We'll see how that develops. My biggest concern about this hire, Rashad Beard, taught me off this path or further down it. We have talked about the fact that both of us agree, feels like it's kind of early in Dave Canales' career to be handing him the visor and the headset to be an HC. But you look at what he did in Seattle, you look at what he did in Tampa Bay, there's reasons to believe. However, there's one thing that concerns me. He and Dan Morgan, the new general manager, worked together in Seattle for 8 years. They've maintained a very close relationship since then. And my concern is that Dan Morgan's first decision as the GM was to hire a buddy, was to make a Nepo hire, was to hire a dude that he's buddy with. And, hey, I just really want to give my friend a chance. I'm not saying that is what happened. I'm saying based on the way decisions have been made in this organization for the past 3 or 4 years, I think it's a reasonable concern to have. And it is my biggest one right now. What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I look at it complete opposite. I look at guys being on the same page, right? We've seen it too often here in Carolina where you have two different mindsets. You have two different visions, right? And when those visions collide and you can't get on the same page, you end up exactly where we are right now, where we're hiring two new guys. It seems we're cycling through guys. You know what I mean? So I feel like bringing in these guys that have some chemistry together, they work together for a long time. It's in different capacities, right? Now you got, Canales, a head coach, Dan Morgan, a GM, the completely different scenarios than it was in Seattle. And so I look at it that, hey, you know what I'm thinking. I know what you're thinking. Now let's get it on track. Let's get on the same track and make the decision that's best for the Carolina Panthers. I'm hopeful that it works. I don't look at it as a nepotism hire. I'm just hopeful. Listen, and I could be jaded just because I've seen it go wrong the opposite way, but I look at them just being on the same page. So I like this. I like that they're on the same page just because we've done the opposite so many times here before.
I dig it. Rashad Beard. He is not only the host of the Panther Nation podcast, he is also the newest public relations manager for the Carolina Panthers. Joins us every Thursday here on the Rob Brown Show in the Fan Upstate, making the special emergency segment today with the hiring of Dave Canales as the new Panthers HC. What y'all got coming up on the stream, man? You're going to do some more breakdowns this weekend?
Man, I have no idea. I'm taking it as it comes, man. It's a lot of news out there. I do coming up next. I do want to analyze who is going to come in to coach on the staff, right? He could be plucking some guys from Tampa Bay or from his old days in Seattle. I think it's going to be very interesting to see how he builds that staff. Are we done in the front office? There's a lot of things that still need to be done for Carolina. So as the news comes, we'll be going live. I mean, there's a lot happening right now, Panther Nation. So we'll see.
Panther Nation podcast on YouTube. Make sure you are searching and subscribing to what I think is honestly the best Panther breakdown you're going to find anywhere. My dude, good to have you, big dog. Appreciate you coming on Friday, brother.
Yeah, man, appreciate you. No problem. Have a blast. Enjoy it. Canales will celebrate for now.
There it is. Next Thursday, we'll have a little bit better idea of the coaching regime under Dave Canales, and we'll talk about it. We'll see you then, big fella.
All right, guys. Thank you.
Rashad Beard, host of the Panther Nation podcast, joins us on Thursdays, checking in today for the special segment to talk a little Panther football. Those of you on the stream, stick around. Come search the Rob Brown Show on YouTube. We're going to stay on the stream all the way up to the end of the show at 10 a.m. I got Abe Gordon of 92.9 The Game in Atlanta coming up in just about 30 minutes from right now to break down the hiring of Raheem Morris as well. We're back after this on the Rob Brown Show in the Fan Upstate. All right, guys, quick live read. I'm coming right back. For those of you watching on the PMP stream, feel free to search us on the Rob Brown Show on YouTube. We're going to keep the show rolling. We're back after this.